Okay.
Hello and welcome to Anxiety Hacks. I'm your host, Kate Hudson-Hall, and thank you so much for listening today. So I have a question. Do you struggle with anxiety? Oh, like so many of us do, because I know that I have done over the years, on and off, since I was age 5. And it's estimated that approximately 284 million adults around the globe have anxiety. So it's just so rife everywhere. So we need all the help we can get. Hence why I started up the podcast. So now the people that I talk to are people that are having difficulties or have had difficulties with anxiety. And the different ways and tools that have helped them. And then also to people who work with, may or may not have had anxiety, but they work with people to help them to be able to work through their difficult anxiety behaviors. Now, I have written a book, if you didn't know about it, it is also called Anxiety Hacks. And I'm very excited because it has just launched. And it has different tools and techniques and tips to help people to be able to relax and to calm themselves. And there are many, many, many different ways that you can learn to calm yourself. And what I think is really important is that because we're all different, there's lots of different, like I say, tools to be able to help people, because it's finding the right one that works for you. So if you want to check it out, it is on Amazon now. Now we have a very special guest today. I'm very excited to welcome our marvelous guest. And her name is Amy. Now, Amy is an incredible nurse, and she also has many additional nursing qualifications. But Amy has struggled with anxiety, since she was very young. And then when she was in her 20s, she had an experience that exploded her anxiety into uncontrollable severe panic attacks. And she joins us here today to share her journey and then her powerful ways that have worked for her to be able to calm her anxiety and to calm her in difficult situations. So, Amy, oh my gosh, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Oh, it's fabulous, Amy, to have you here.
Lovely to be here.
So, where should we begin? Should we begin at the very start of when you believe that your anxiety started?
Yeah, we can do. So I've always been a worrier. So I've always suffered with it from sort of a young age. And then, like you said, when I was in my 20s, it sort of took a head, really. So I was living my best life and I went travelling to Australia, Bali, Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam. And it was the best. It was.
And how was your anxiety when you did the travelling?
It was fine. So I went with my sister and 2 other girls round Australia, and then we went on to Bali. And then I decided, I'm going to be young, free, and I decided to go to Cambodia, Vietnam, and Thailand by myself. So that was a massive, I needed to prove to myself that I was, strong enough to do this.
Yeah.
Which had its, difficulties along the way.
Right.
So yes, so then my anxiety sort of really started when I got unwell and got admitted into hospital when I was in Vietnam, because I got like a sickness bug.
Oh my gosh.
I know. So I that's when it all happened. That's when the sort of the sliding scale happened.
Oh no. And that's when the panic attacks started.
Yeah, that's it. So I was traveling around, and the only thing that kept me going was full fat Coke and the occasional ham and cheese toasty, which is not easy to come by in Cambodia.
But they wondered what you were talking about.
Yes. So yeah, so I got very unwell, and as a result of it, sort of my anxiety and my panic attacks blew up, because I was trapped. So there was one episode where I was so unwell, and I was on this, it felt like hours of this bus, and I you know how we all know things go. And I had to keep stopping the bus,
Oh
and
gosh.
it
Go
was
and find a
getting,
loo.
yes, that's it. And it was getting to a point where I couldn't carry on any longer.
Yeah, yeah. So
So
what did you do?
in regards to,
So did you make it to your destination?
I did. I did, and I made it to Cambodia. So it started when I was in Bali,
Right.
made it to Thailand, made it to Cambodia, and I thought, I can't carry on anymore. I had to basically run off this bus. I had no one. I couldn't speak to anyone. I couldn't do anything, and I just felt really, really trapped. And being on a old rickety bus in Cambodia where they don't speak any English is not great. So therefore my anxiety and my panic attacks just went absolutely crazy. So much so that anytime, in the when I got back from traveling, and I, still to this day really, if I feel trapped, or I feel like, yeah, I can't escape, then my panic attacks arise, and that's why I needed to get support for it.
Oh my gosh, yes. Oh, so when you came back and you were back into your everyday life, how was the anxiety then? How was the panic attacks?
It was, when I first got back, it was awful. It was
Right.
really awful. I couldn't even do a 5-minute journey without having a panic attack,
Yeah, yeah.
because I've been trapped for so long and had no one, and then as a result ended up in a Vietnam hospital by myself. That, yeah, even when I came back, my panic attacks kept going.
Yeah, and that's what
Even though,
happens when you get in
yeah,
that stressful situation.
that's it. Even though I knew once I was home, I was safe, back in the UK. It's amazing what your mind controls,
Yes. Yeah,
unless you control it. Mm.
absolutely. And how did you learn to control it?
So I very much, I was sort of drowning in it until I met your wonderful self, where we worked through a lot
Yeah.
of different tools and different stuff, and doing exposure therapy, putting as much, I didn't want to go out, I didn't want to do anything,
Yeah.
because that thought that I was gonna, be sick somewhere, or just overcome me.
Yeah.
So we worked through it, and I got different tools to be able to, work through it, do it.
You're just such an inspiration, Amy, to other people. Because
Oh,
when you first came to see me, like you say, you couldn't even go out anywhere. You were trapped at home, basically,
yeah,
consistently having the panic attacks and
yeah,
constant anxiety.
yeah. So much so that I couldn't feel my face at times, because I was stuck. I couldn't move. It really took over my whole body and my whole life for a little bit of it. And that's when I knew I needed to get help and support for it, because I couldn't carry on.
Yeah, yeah. And from the work that we did and the tools that you've learned,
Mm.
what do you feel has helped you the most?
I think we all have, well, between me and my friends, we all have, everyone has the voices in their heads.
Yes.
and they are very strong, and I've learned that you need to shout at them to keep them at bay.
Yes, we like that.
So I shout, "Get lost." He has his own little name. He's called Larry, and my boyfriend knows him as it. Larry needs to, be quiet. He needs to, you need to shout it. Get lost.
Yeah. And that's the technique called thought stopping, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Yeah.
And for people that don't know about thought stopping is, first of all, being aware of those difficult negative thoughts that you have that are connected to your anxiety. Because, we have 60,000 different thoughts that go throughout our mind every day. So some are conscious, some are floating in the background, and that's an enormous amount of thought, approximately. And then, of course, 95% of those thoughts that we have are the same thoughts that we had the day before and the day before that. So unless we start to be aware of those thoughts, then they're always going to be in the same pattern and saying the same similar things to you. So for you, it was really good because you first of all started to be aware of those thoughts.
That's it.
And then with the thought stopping, and then once you're aware of those thoughts, then you shout stop, and then tell them to get lost in whatever manner works for you. And then, of course, then they will come back, and then you need to keep doing it and keep doing it. And over time, that voice will get quieter and quieter.
That's it. That's it. Because we don't need it. And if you're, with the thoughts, if you're having negative thoughts all the time, and it can, and it can, teach you that you are like that, and you need to shout at them to go away.
Yeah, absolutely. And then 70% of those 60,000 different thoughts that we have, approximately 70% for people overall in general are negative.
Yeah.
So because of that's the way that we were designed, so in order to protect ourselves, our forefathers. So it's difficult anyway in itself, but then when you've been in, like you have, in such a traumatic experience, those negative thoughts are going to be
crazy,
full on 100%.
Because it was really traumatic. It changed me as a person.
How did it change you?
Because I went to, I was going around Australia with my best friends, and then I went to Bali, and then I thought, I'm going to prove it to myself that I can do this by myself. And it sort of had the reverse effect.
Yeah.
And it's contributed into my life even when I'm, home now, because I managed to, throughout my nursing training, where you're going to new and it's high intense situations, I managed to keep my anxiety through different tools, relatively well. And then this traumatic event has made me take a step back, and now I'm a step forwards because of the tools that we've learned together.
Yeah. And life isn't a nice smooth path.
That's it.
Everybody, we have so many different experiences, and our emotions are like roller coasters. And it's being able to to be able to deal with those and work through them.
Yeah.
So just backtracking a moment, Amy, so when you were young, you had anxiety then?
Yes. So I've always been the worrier, the sensitive one. My sister, she's amazing. She's my best friend, but she's 15 months younger than me, and she was always the confident one. So I've always, been in her, which is a very good, shadow, but I've always been in her shadow. So when I was younger, the anxiety, I wouldn't have the confidence to go and, order something or, make new friends and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I've always been a worrier, which is, I've taken some big steps to try and change that, going off and doing my nursing career where I didn't know anyone.
Yeah, which is amazing.
Yeah. And, I moved away to Bournemouth, and I moved out and I lived down there for 8 years. So I was, trying to not be the shadow anymore.
Yeah.
And but I've always had that worry sort of in, you know, like personality.
Yeah, which brought on the anxiety
Yeah,
in
yeah,
so many different situations.
that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And those
so,
negative thoughts.
yeah. And you know, if you tell your negative thoughts so much, like you said, you start to believe them.
Yes.
So, but yeah, through different tools, you know, I'm trying not to be. I don't want to express that onto anyone, and it's quite good in my friendship group. We all talk about it. Three of my best friends, we all suffer. We all suffer with anxiety, and we all have different techniques that we share between us.
Yeah.
So,
Good.
and I like it now that it's a more open subject to talk about.
I know it is, and yes, hence
Because,
setting up the podcast and
yeah,
writing a book, because it needs to get out there, because
it
people
does.
are suffering in silence.
Yeah, because I can't, you know, potentially if I was younger, you know, I could have, you know, stopped it in its tracks then if we knew what, you know, and I'm only 30. So, you know, the kids nowadays hopefully are feeling more open to have, you know, emotions and to say that they feel anxious.
Yeah,
And it's just, you know, like not just a worrier.
yeah, absolutely. And I
Yeah.
think it's interesting, what you say about, for many people, they listen to those negative thoughts, and then over time they start to really believe that they're true.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
this is them
Yeah.
not understanding that a lot of the time, the thoughts that they're having, probably most of the time, the thoughts that they're having probably isn't even true what they're telling themselves.
That's
A
it.
lot of people do actually believe those thoughts.
Yeah. And
They're
that's their
starting to recognize that, oh, this is the pattern that I've got into.
yeah.
Starting to work with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Definitely.
so, so Emmy, so the thought stopping
Mm-hmm.
really, really helpful for you with those difficult thoughts.
Yeah.
And what else has helped you?
So I am a very big advocate for tapping. Have a
Oh,
good tap.
I love it. I love it. So we're talking about the tapping therapy, the
Yeah.
emotional freedom technique, it's also known, but there's lots of different types now. But the original one of the original ones was called emotional freedom technique. So it's tapping on a routine of points while thinking about any negative thought that you have. And you can reduce down those thoughts and those feelings by tapping on this routine of points. It's
That's it.
fantastic. And everybody should learn it.
Amazing.
And I teach it in my book. And for people with anxiety, the specific point for anxiety is in tapping on the collarbone. So it's where the two collarbones come down to a V, and tapping on that point. And that's the specific point to be able to reduce your anxiety.
Yeah. Soothes you.
It does. It does. So even if you have learned the emotional freedom technique and the points to tap on, and you haven't got time to take yourself off to do some tapping, just tapping on that collarbone point will help you to reduce your anxiety.
That's it. Very discreet.
Very discreet. And
And you
people don't know what you're doing, because
no,
if you are in a group of people and you don't feel like actually tapping on that collarbone point, you can actually rub it. So rub it in a circle. It has the same effect, but it will reduce your anxiety. And the good thing about EFT is that you don't actually have to believe in it.
mm-hmm.
Give it a go, because it does work.
It does. It does. You say something positive at the end of it.
Yes.
So like I know I'm anxious about, you know, going to this I don't know, going to this festival, but I deeply and completely love and accept myself. That's the one I use.
Yes.
And you go through it 3 times, different points, and you can just always, you know, top it off with a positive.
Yeah. Excellent. And when do you find that you use the tapping?
So I used it on Thursday.
Okay.
Still now, even though, you know, it's been 3 years since the app, you know, since I was unwell, you know, these triggers still come
Yeah.
because, you know, you never, you know, you can, you know, build that neural pathway, but you might have lapses, and so I went to a gig, and I could feel myself getting busier and busier, and getting a bit trapped. So I just went like this on the thing, and it soothes me
Rubbed
down.
your collarbone.
Rub my collarbone.
The anxiety point, yeah.
That's it. And then I was able to enjoy the show, take my mind off it, know that it was going to pass, and that I'm in control.
Amazing. Amazing. You did it. I love it.
Yeah.
But I use the tapping because, like I say, life's a roller coaster. You never know what's going to be thrown at you. And I use it, for if I'm having, difficult feelings about something.
Yeah.
Like recently, my brother being in ICU for 5 weeks. So that wasn't a very easy time. And so I spent time working and tapping through the difficult feelings I was having with that. So it's just such a powerful tool, because once you know the points, and you can use it anytime and anywhere. A lot of my clients, they go off into the bathroom if they're at work and do rounds of tapping, just to be able to help to calm them, or whatever the difficult situation. It doesn't have to just be for anxiety. You can use it for anything.
Yeah. And you acknowledge that you've got this thought, and and then you work through it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes that's all just, you don't know why you need to tap, but you've got this feeling.
Yeah.
So
by going around and tapping on the routine of points, you can reduce down that feeling.
Definitely.
Love it. I love it. And so what else has worked for you?
I do. I've learned over time that it will pass, but I still do the breathing technique.
Yes.
So in for 4 and then out for 8.
Yes. Yes.
And that can get through anything.
Yeah, and that's really important.
And I don't think we breathe enough.
Well, we don't.
We breathe, but I don't think we breathe good enough sometimes.
Yeah, most of the time. Yeah. And so with because a lot of people that have anxiety, they know about the breathing, and they know to take, deep breaths, one deep breath or number of deep breaths, and they know that it calms them, but are you doing it correctly? Because it's really important, like you say, to breathe in for the count of 4, and then breathing out, holding it for 8, or holding it for as long as you can, and then breathing out for the count of 8. And the reason for doing it that way, and that is the correct way to do it, is because we have these a nervous system that runs through our body, and it's working with the nervous system. And by breathing in, you're accessing that part of your brain that is connected to the anxious part. So that is why you want to breathe in for a shorter amount of time. And then when you breathe out, you're accessing the calm, normal, relaxed state, that normal you. So that's why you breathe out for longer. And then as you breathe in, you short breath in, but all the way down to the base of your tummy. And then you breathe out for much longer. And, you could add a phrase to that, something like, let go, or calm, or something like that as you exhale.
That's it. Yeah.
More powerful.
Yeah, definitely. And you don't realize how much, even if you just take one section of that, a 4 and hold it, and then an 8.
Yeah.
How much just stop and realize that you're okay and you're safe.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh my gosh.
Oh my. A lot of things have worked. There's so many different tools.
Yeah. And have you been doing your journaling?
I have, yeah. Writing down, what I'm grateful for, and what if there's anything coming up, and what plans. And I try and make goals for myself.
Right.
That's it. And you don't, because sometimes we just go through day to day, and it's nice to have a routine to sit down and write, at the end of the day, what your goals are for the next day, what made you happy today, what could you work on, what have there been any triggers, anything like that. Yeah, journaling is very good.
And then, if you are in a very difficult place, it's writing out those difficult feelings. Just get your notebook and just write in there. You don't even have to reread it. You can just scribble over it or throw it away, whatever it is. But writing them down, it's actually getting them out. So then it helps you to let go of those difficult thoughts and feelings.
Yeah, just writing it down. You can realise, is this a now problem that I need to work on now? Or is this something that, because, in nursing, do I need to deal with this now? Or can this go into the to-do pile? Or can this be, delegated down that, something like that?
Very good. Very good.
That's it. Need to be good at delegating. But so, is it a problem that you need to fix within the next 5 minutes? There's a problem you need to fix within the next, 5 hours or the next couple of days or weeks?
Yes.
And if you write it down, then you can see the list, because, with me especially, I have to write things down. And if I can see it written down, I know it's there and you've got to do it. But you can work out what priority, because if you've got loads of different lists going on inside your heads, they all have top priority. Whether it's, I need to change the sheets, or, I need to go and get Christmas decorations, or, something like that, or something, I need to feed my dog, which is a now problem.
Yes. Yeah.
It's November now. Do I need Christmas decorations now? No. But yeah,
not right today.
No, not today. So I think journaling really helps.
Yeah.
And also you write down what has been good and what you've done very well.
Yeah.
And what I do is I reflect back over the last month, and I write down what has been really good, and what, has there things been that's a recurrent and that I need to work on.
Yeah, and it's quite good to look back as well and see what you have achieved, what you haven't achieved. And also what is really important for people to hear, that when they are thinking about, what they want to achieve and their goals, there has been research that's done that's shown that you're much more likely to achieve your goal if you actually get a pen and do it the old-fashioned way by writing it down, if you can still remember how to write.
That's it. Or even the notes section. Just get it down somewhere.
Yes, so writing it, physically writing it down, you're much more likely to achieve it.
Definitely.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Well, Amy, I can't thank you enough for coming and sharing, your difficult time, and then also, what's helped you and how you have come so far.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Oh, well, thank you, Amy. It's just been, really useful, relevant information for people to listen to. So I thank you for that.
Thank you very much. It happens to the best of us.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you, Amy. And thank you to everybody for listening. And make sure that you subscribe to the podcast on Apple iTunes so you never miss an episode. And then also let us know what you think of the show, and show some love or your favorite podcasts by leaving us a review. So thank you to everybody, and I look forward to chatting with you in the next episode.